Good afternoon, everyone. My name is T. Coriat, Project Officer here at the Family Life Commission. And today we'll be going live with our guest, Freedom James, and we'll be discussing men in society and how our upbringing reflects how we portray ourselves today in society. So let me add Freedom on to the live now, and we'll start our discussion.
Yo,
Hey, we're going on Freedom.
I am good. I
All
am good.
right. So, everyone, this is Freedom James, a young man from the parish of St. Francis in Sangre Grande, and he's
Hi, hi.
joining us now to discuss our conversation. So, let me just. Mm.
See, I ain't seeing you. You
You see
disappear?
me?
Nah, I'm not seeing you.
Oh, I'm seeing you, and I'm seeing myself here.
Uh-huh. I wonder if it's me. I'm gonna try and leave and come back now.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, one sec.
Okay, we're just fixing some technical difficulties. All right.
Yeah.
Any better? Okay.
Actually, I'm still not seeing you, but it's okay. I guess we can work with
All
that.
right, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, Freedom, why don't you give us a little insights about who you are?
Who I am? Well, I'm a man, I guess. I know you say we're talking about men. In Trinidad. Basically, I am from the parish of San Grande. I'm St. Francis of Assisi. I was pretty heavily involved in the church and still am to this day. So whether it be hospitality ministry, youth and young adults, confirmation, anything like that, even lectures as well. So yeah, pretty involved in the church. And yeah, just around to help where I can.
All right, all right. So as I would have shared it to, we wanted to talk to, um, just given what we've been seeing recently in society with our men and the sad crimes that we see are happening that involve women.
Hmm.
We've seen the recent domestic violence that started off the year with its mother
Hmm.
killed. So we wanted to, over the next few weeks, the past couple of weeks, we've been having these discussions, and we wanted to have a conversation with someone who is someone, living in the streets here of Trinidad.
Hmm.
Well, not the streets, but you're around.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So we want to have that conversation to see how you feel about the current situation, and how has your upbringing affected or shaped you into the person that you are.
Right.
So first, I would like to get your how you feel about what's happening in our society right now, with our.
Um, if I could say it in a word, um, it's tragic and it's a bit disappointing. Something as simple as growing up, I used to be able to like walking on the road. You tell people, you know, good morning or good afternoon, or just say hi. You don't really see like simple, nice gestures like that anymore. And I would say like that is kind of like a symptom of a larger thing that's going on. There's not that much care for people anymore, and it's really sad to see a lot of the tragedies that's going on.
Right. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Tell me what kind of environment did you grow up in? Were there a lot of men, women? Give me a little
Mhm.
insight of your upbringing.
Well, I grew up with my dad mainly and my granny. So I'd say I'm fortunate to say I had a dad who was present. And, I think that was pretty impactful to me because, you look up to who you want to be. And if you have good role models in your life, not just my dad, but other men, who were influential to me, like, you see bits of yourself in them and you want to emulate certain things that they do well. So I would say that has helped me come along in a way.
And so how would you said you would have looked up to your dad. How
Hmm.
did, in a way that you would treat women?
Hmm.
Because, that's the male figure and you would look up to him to see, well, what can I take from you that's, if I'm to navigate life and be around women,
Hmm.
what bits and pieces did you take from him and in how you would interact now with women?
Um, I would say that growing up with my dad, I always felt a sense of security, you know. So I definitely felt as though like, everything was safe. I didn't have to worry about anything. To this day, when I'm around my dad, I don't really feel like I have to worry. And I think that's kind of, providing an umbrella or being like a kind of a safeguard to those around you, those who may be a little bit more vulnerable. That is kind of the type of masculinity I've been trying to emulate as I kind of grew. So I'd say that's probably the main thing in terms of my interaction with women and, other people in general, children as well, and other men as well.
Right? Because for me, I would have grown up with my mom and my
Hmm.
grandmother, but I always had male figures around. I would still interact with my dad. I had my
Hmm.
older brother, my uncles, and whatnot. So I would have taken bits and pieces from them and look at, and well, in being involved in church, you have your priests as well. So they were male figures. Um,
Hmm.
for me, taking those bits and pieces from these persons, looking at the good, um, it would have assisted me in the way I interacted with other people, whether it be men or women. Um,
Hmm.
Probably my younger cousins or whatnot, I would help, try and guide them along the right way. Um, as I would know, you are a brother to boys and girls. So for your brothers and um, how
Yeah.
how do you try to guide them?
That's a loaded question, but I'll try to answer it. I think the best way to lead is by example. And I would never say something to them or give them advice that I myself am not trying my best to do. And in a lot of ways, they inspire me as well. But essentially, trying to, keep morals about yourself. I would say one of the big things is just being honest, tell the truth. Trying to be a upstanding person, do what's right, even, when you may not want to, and even when no one's looking, things like that. I, I can't really say too much. It's just kind of, me trying to be the best version of myself, if I could say it like that. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that they pick up on that.
Uh, and for those who are listening on the live, and you might have questions or comments, feel free to leave them there in the comments, and we'll try our best to answer them or answer them either not on the live or later on in some posts.
Mm,
So, how, as you say, you were involved in church.
mm.
See, they're asking for an example. Yeah. So they're asking for an example. I'm assuming as to what you would show your siblings.
What I would show my siblings.
Yeah, because you said you would as a by example. So like, what example of something that you might
Mhm.
demonstrate to them?
Okay, so I don't know if you remember primary school days, but hanging out with them a lot, I reminisce on primary school days. So, you see a lot of you know, the day-to-day squabbles and fights that you might have with your siblings or your friends. And I feel like as you get older, you realize a lot of those things really aren't like you're not gonna remember who Tifa Erasa in class 10 years from now, So I think what I try my best to do is teach them how to mediate arguments, because if you ever grow up with siblings, you know that you're always fighting and that kind of stuff. And I think like just maintaining peace in the household is good, and then also with your friends. So really just trying to, if they have an argument, firstly listen to both sides, because the first thing is, who's shouting over who, I mean, again, a chance to talk or to listen. So first things first, let's listen, let's hear what the other person has to say. And what kind of compromise can we come up with? So my siblings are what, 9 and 11. So it's just trying to get them to have like a kind of peace among themselves. So I would say that's kind of where I'm at there.
Okay. And that situation that's or example that you would show to them is something that we all can take, because in life, you'll never have the perfect relationship or friendship. And
Mm-hmm.
times we see here when there's abuse or violence, whether it be in the streets amongst gangs, it's always because of some disagreement. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of be avoided, by just listening to each other and finding a way to compromise, or sometimes just agree to disagree and move along.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that I see that is probably missing in society, where we
Yeah.
always want, and if we do whatever it is to get what we
Mm-hmm.
want or prove a point. And so
Mm-hmm.
if we can teach our kids from an early age that, there are ways to go about things the right way, I
Mm-hmm.
think that will help curb a lot of things that we're seeing today. So
Yeah.
that we can, a small point that, we can take, and that can carry us a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also seeing a question in saying, what do you think we can do to encourage men to listen?
Um, this is, I would say to answer this, it comes back to a point I wanted to raise earlier, with regards to, looking at men and seeing, like men that are older than you who you might look to as a mentor, and seeing things that you want to emulate. I think it could also go both ways. So you could see things you want to emulate, and you could see things you don't want to. So you could actually try to do the opposite. I think to encourage men to listen in terms of listening and be better versions of themselves. If that's the case, I think it kind of starts with who you look up to potentially, because um, if you have role models around you, or the people who you seem to be or you see doing well for themselves in your environment, more than likely those are the people you want to look up to. And if they aren't up to much good, it's possible that you could pick up some of the negative influences from them. And I don't think that you are necessarily at fault in that case, because that may just be what you've experienced. Not saying that your actions aren't wrong, but can you see a better path forward is what I'm putting forward. So how do we encourage men to listen? I think we have to present them with an ideal, and obviously the greatest ideal of a man is Jesus Christ himself. But in a more tangible way, we need people and men who can, be present to others, especially when they're young and in those formative years. Because, a lot of the things that I've grown and wanted to be as a man, I didn't learn them all from my dad. I learned them a lot from other men that I saw, some of my friends and all. So you could get bits and pieces from everywhere. So I'd say, if you could surround yourself with a good group of friends, and have good older role models, older brothers who could teach you the right ways. And you see the opposite of that in terms of the gang culture, because their older brothers may be, the ones doing things that aren't so savory. So if you look up to them, then you could have an opposite result.
Yeah, because just to piggyback off what you're saying, um, a lot of young men who grew up in places where crime and gang violence is something that's very common.
Mm-hmm.
The people that they potentially look up to are the bad influences. And,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Yep.
those male figures to look up to, and the only ones they have are the gang leaders. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that the schools will come in handy. That's where the church will come in handy, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you'll go to school and the perfect example you might have as a good role model will be a teacher, whether
Yeah.
it be a male teacher when you're lacking that male figure at home. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important, we as people, professionals in the education system, sometimes take into consideration that a lot of people are looking up to us, and you know, you can help create someone that can be great. And as well as church, the priests are there, you have lay ministers, you have leaders in church, who would be perfect examples that you could take bits and pieces from and mold yourself to be a better person. So that is for those who grew up in an environment where the male figures aren't ideal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any other questions here? Any comments? All right. Let's I don't see any comments. But Freedom, so
Mm-hmm.
before we go, what advice or any words of encouragement would you give to someone who is struggling right now to make that decision as to, they're young in society who doesn't have that real father figure? What would
Mm-hmm.
you say to them to encourage them, to keep trying and to become the best version of themselves?
That's a big question. Right now, I want some advice myself, but I guess I could try to give a response. Um, I would say that sounds like such a big task. And honestly, trying to live to be a better version of yourself, or quote unquote the best version of yourself, is a tough task. Something I started doing is just asking God to just show me what's the next step to take. Um, and so I would say, just focus on what's the next right step that you can take in terms of what tangibly you could do. I would say your environment is very important. The kind of people that you surround yourself with, the kind of places you frequent, you can set yourself up for um, a good future or one that's not as good. I would say in those environments, you could find good friends, good mentors, all of those things. So I would just say try and find yourself in the right place. You hear too many stories of people being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Try and be in the right place at the right time. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. And I'm seeing some good advice coming in here. So, some are saying choosing good mentors, asking God to show you the next right step, and the best mentor you can have is God Himself. So you might grow up hearing about God, but you might be in church. But just sometimes just ask God, God, I need some help. God always answers our prayers. Sometimes we just need to pay attention, open our eyes and open our ears, and you would hear that advice. So Freedom, I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today. It was good having you. Um, and I hope, people who are listening can take this conversation and reflect on it. And maybe it might influence you to be good examples to other persons around you, whether it be a boy or girl, man, woman, Um, just always try and look out for each other and be our brothers keepers. I think that would have a very influential effect on our people coming up. So again, Freedom, thank you very much. And thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in today. And as we would have indicated before, this is not the end, this is a continuing conversation. Um, that we at the Family Life Commission will be having for over the next few weeks. And we will be talking to different persons and trying to get different perspectives and advice that we can give to help try and change our landscape here in Trinidad and Tobago and by extension the wider world. So if you have any further questions that you might have, feel free to send us a DM here. You can message us on Facebook, you can call our lines, all the numbers are available in our bio. And you can also visit our websites at aflcrc.org. All right, so thank you very much and have a blessed day and stay safe.
All right, take care, T. Thanks for having me.
Freedom. Bye bye.